All right. Welcome, fabulous Sonder fam. I am so glad that you are here with me tonight for our weekly setup. We were joking, this weekend has been the Maya, Katie, and Bailey show because everybody else is off on vacation. So it's been alternating weeklies and monthlies. And so that's why Bailey got a little confused in the beginning, was like, oh, welcome to the monthly setup. Nope. We're going to do weekly tonight. We did monthly this morning with Katie. Tomorrow morning, Katie will do another weekly. And then tomorrow night, I will do a monthly. So we do still have a few of we have another weekly and another monthly left if you haven't had a chance. And the nice thing is we do record these, so they will be on. Thank you, Gina. My contacts have been being really obnoxious lately, so I only wear them for contacts a little while during the day, and then I have to switch to my glasses so that I can see. I did want to mention, you probably saw, and if you've been around this weekend, they have this super exciting trial that they're doing just in time for a mid-year reset. If you have not tried our coaching program, if you have not been speaking with our fabulous life coach, Jenny, our AI life coach, they are giving folks a 14-day free trial. You do not have to enter your credit card. That is so important for me. I don't know about you, but I always forget to unsubscribe or to, cancel, and then they end up charging me. That will not happen with this. You can sign up. It's 14 days. They have a nice little onboarding where they ask you to do some different personality tests to get things in there. And then after 14 days, they're going to ask you if you want to continue. And then you will. If you do, you get 50% off your first 3 months. So it is definitely a deal. Oh, good. Jen said she just signed up and the tests were so interesting. It really is interesting to see how it takes some of your, like the Myers-Briggs, the Big Five, the Enneagram. I think there's just a lot, the saboteurs, like it takes all these different pieces and really personalizes it to you, because there's a lot of different AI things out there that you can use for this type of purpose. But it's kind of interesting because this one really does kind of personalize all these pieces. So I know both Bailey and I enjoy using Jenny. She's been also very helpful, like for work situations or for other situations. Sometimes I ask her for prompts that I can do here. Georgette said she accidentally canceled it. Customer service, I'm sure, can fix it for you. Just send that. And that's the one that's concierge at silkandsonder.com, and they can help. So I'm glad folks are taking advantage of that. Yeah, they set that up for us for the weekend for folks. I know it says 24 hours, but I think it's good through the rest of the weekend. But I don't know for a fact. So I'm not 100% sure how long the code and that link that Bailey is popping in the chat works. So be sure that you take advantage of that. And again, you can always email concierge at silkandsonder.com if you have any questions or anything wonky happens. So thanks for checking that out. I think it's definitely fun. Something fun to do for 2 weeks, right? Especially here as we get into summer. Oh, good. And Andrea says that she can confirm they take care of you. Fabulous, Andrea. Thank you. So some community guidelines, a few little housekeeping. Make sure that little blue box says everyone down in the chat. It has a very obnoxious tendency to keep flipping back to the host and panelist. And when it does that, the only people who see what you write are myself and my fabulous co-host that's with me tonight, Bailey. And so if you just want to talk to Bailey and I, that's absolutely fine. You can. But usually you're wanting to, there she is. Bailey's going to hop on and say hi. But if you want to talk to the whole Sonder fam, you want to make sure to switch that to everyone. And then we want to make sure that this is a safe and supportive space. So we just ask that you're kind and courteous to everyone. No promotions or spam. We respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying, obviously. We limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. So all those questions about stickers and pins and all that stuff, it's fine to do a little bit of chat about that. But the best place for that really is in Sonder Club, where folks can put in links and give you pictures and all of that. And then any of those customer care inquiries go to our HQ team, which is hello@silkandsonder.com. So if you have a billing question, if you haven't gotten your journal yet, you need to switch up your credit card on file, any of those things, those all go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Bailey and I don't have access to your account, so we can't fix anything or look anything up for you. And remember, these socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. And you know, we have a fabulous community here, so supportive, so smart, so clever, so creative. But ultimately, you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever anything that we're doing that isn't quite your jam, feel free to do something else, right? If you're like, well, I've actually already set up my weekly, but I just kind of wanted to come and hang out with the Sonder fam some more and hang out in the chat, do that, right? You're absolutely welcome to. This is your hour. This is your time. Do whatever you like. If the music I play isn't your jam, you can mute that. If my voice isn't your jam, you can mute me. We have closed captioning, so you can still follow along. Again, this is your time to do with as you need to do. So yeah, speaking of anniversaries, for the journal, July is my 5th anniversary with Silk and Sonder. I cannot believe that. It's like, woo, how did that happen? And then I see there's probably also some other anniversaries that are happening in July. There's probably some birthdays that are happening. This is actually Katie, our facilitator. Today is actually her birthday. She did a social this morning for her birthday. It was afternoon for her since she's over in Scotland. My birthday was in June. Malika's birthday was in June. I'm sure we've got some July birthdays, so happy birthday to our July folks. And so it's so good to see. Oh, Layla saying she turns 50 in July. Welcome to the 50 Club. I love it. Happy birthday. So Georgette, your birthday is tomorrow, last day of June. Well, not quite July, but close. So happy birthday to all of our Sonder fam. So this month's theme, as you can see, Claire, it's okay if you're late. I'm still just babbling. We haven't gotten started on anything. This month's theme is independence. And that's why I played the State of Independence song for our opening, just because that was the first song that kind of popped into my head. When I think of independence, I think of myself being independent, yet also still willing to ask for help, still willing to accept help, but being independent, knowing that I can do things on my own. And I liked this quote that said, the best thing a woman can do for herself is to be her own hero. And that's kind of what I think of when I think of independence as well. And it's kind of nice coming from our June theme of purpose, we're going to move into that state of independence, right? So definitely like doing that. So hopefully you will enjoy kind of exploring that this month. Again, we'll have lots of fun prompts. We have lots of journal prompts that we'll go through with you. We will have some mind maps, although I will tell you tonight's mind map is not going to be focused so much on independence. We're actually going to do kind of a mid-year reflection for this weekend. But so our agenda for tonight, we're going to work on the mind map. But like I said, it's actually going to be a little bit of a bonus mind map, so not so much focusing on independence. Oh, Carolyn is also turning 50 in July. Yay! We're going to do our rosebud thorn, and we're going to work on those 2 weekly setup pages. And if you've been with me, you know I always use these 2 little cartoons by the great artist. Her name is The Latest Kate, is the name that she goes under. Chris, this is going to be a separate, all by itself mind map that you can keep separate. I always like to do the mind maps. We do those to make them 4. So just know the Independence 4 one will start next weekend. So this can be anywhere on a blank page. So these 2 little cartoons, one says there's room for you here just as you are. If everything's going great, if everything is awesome, we want to celebrate. We want to hear those successes. But we know life is not always a series of ups, right? We have some downs, we have some bumps. So if things aren't going well for you, maybe you've been dealing with some illnesses, some job issues, some family drama, right? We're here for that too, right? Don't be afraid to share what's going on because you don't want to bring somebody down. So the artist, her name is The Latest Kate, Kate. And you can Google her and you can usually find she has lots of fun things. Yeah, family drama, Bridget. Ugh, yeah. And then also, speaking of feelings, the way you feel matters, and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. No one can tell you, oh, you shouldn't be mad about that, or oh, you should be happy about that. I mean, our feelings are feelings, and that's just how they are. And we're here for all of them, right? We're here for the good and the bad and the happy and the sad and all of those things. So just know that we're here for you. And also, speaking of the chat, sometimes that gets rolling really fast. And if you're newer, that can be a little bit stressful. So some people choose to just ignore the chat. They turn that off and they just work in their journal. Other people, they're kind of here for the chat. So they make some notes on the sticky notes, they make some notes on some scratch paper, and then they actually work on their journal after the social because they want to be here in the chat and share. So again, it's totally up to you, however you want to do this. And know that you can join as many weekly setups, as many monthly setups, as many of the journal prompt socials that we do. You can join all of those. That's all part of your membership. So we're happy to see you in all of them. Just keep in mind, we can't actually see you. You don't have your cameras on, and we can't hear you. We don't have your mics on. So if you've got little ones or big ones or furry ones making a lot of noise in the background, just know that we can't hear it. So you don't have to worry about that at all. So for this idea, the mind map, yeah, Bridget says these chats uplift me. I feel like I'm with my girlfriends. Absolutely. This is kind of a fun, like we're all sitting around and sipping some lemonade on the porch and chatting about how our week went and how we hope our next week is going to go. So we're going to do what we call bonus mind map this week. And so we're going to do a mid-year check-in. So mid-year check-in, your journey so far, because this will be July marks the middle, right? The first of July marks the halfway point in the year. I can't believe it's already halfway through 2025, but okay, we won't get into that. So what you're going to do is you're going to think back to the hopes, intentions, or the goals that you had for yourself as this year began, right? So think back to January 2025. What were the things that you envisioned for 2025, whether big or small? How have these hopes or intentions manifested in your life over these past 6 months? What successes have you celebrated, and how do they connect to what you set out to achieve? And then what challenges have you faced, and have they influenced your path or your understanding of yourself? Also think back on our themes for the last 6 months. How has your thought about purpose changed? How have things changed? So you're going to do a little bit of reflecting, and then you're going to look ahead to the rest of the year. What adjustments, affirmations, or actions can you commit to in order to more fully align with your initial hopes or intentions? Or if your focus has shifted, which it does, right? What new direction or priority feels most resonant for the next 6 months? So maybe if you had a word of the year, how does that feel? Does that word still feel good going forward for the next 6 months? Or maybe you want to switch it out. Maybe you want to get a different one. I will be honest. My word for the beginning of this year was, I can't remember, I was kind of going through some different things, but the idea was like less and subtraction to kind of clear things out. I'm not sure that was the best word for me to pick, because I did definitely have some subtractions going on. Tomorrow is my last day at my workplace that I have worked at for 16 years, not really by my choice. They reorganized and eliminated my position. That was not on my bingo card for 2025. So that definitely was not something I had envisioned at the beginning of the year. But and I appreciate everyone's good wishes, but honestly, it's really for the best. That job was not filling my cup, and it hadn't been for some time. Yeah, and Courtney, that was not what I meant when I said subtraction. So now I think as I look forward to the next 6 months, I definitely want to think more about intention and more intentionality for something new. And I'm hoping I have a fourth interview with another district on Wednesday. And I also there's another nonprofit that I've been interviewing with, and I have an in-person interview with them, not this Wednesday, but the next Wednesday. So some exciting things to kind of look forward to. But again, that was not on my bingo card. That was not, when I did January, that was not something that I thought was going to happen, right? So sometimes that happens. So I don't know what's kind of happened with you as you've kind of gone through. I'll see, Cheryl, we'll see if we can find that link to the word of the year quiz that we had at the beginning, and see if we can maybe take that and see if maybe there's something a little bit different. So feel free to share in the chat the answers to any of these questions. And I will play some music, so I will be quiet. I will let you work on that, and then we will kind of check in and keep moving on. Right. Thank you for sharing in the chat, all of you who retook your 2025 word of the year. I haven't redone mine, but I think I will definitely do that and see what word it comes up with. And a lot of you were saying that you liked the word that it came up with. So I think that definitely is good. And again, it's hard sometimes when it's that whole, the best laid plans of mice and men, right? So it's like we can plan a lot and we can do a lot to think that we're ready for what's coming up. And then life just throws you a curveball. So got to be good at catching those curveballs. But I will say, using Jenny, right, with the AI was super helpful with this. And then having all of you, having my Silk and Sonder journal, having you to come and do socials with has been super helpful and really helps me feel very grateful for the very strong community that I have, friends and family, and just the support system has been amazing. So although things have not been going quite as I want, we'll see how things go, and I will keep you all posted. Thank you for all the well wishes. So again, if you haven't had a chance to really dig into this as much as you want, make sure you take a screenshot or snap a picture so that you can work on this again later, because I think it is something that is kind of good to do over these next few days as you're looking at moving into the second half of 2025. So speaking of reflections, we're now going to just reflect over this last week and look at our rosebud thorn, which is still in your June journal if you have that, over on page 56. If you're just joining us and you only have a July journal, that's okay. You can just find a little blank space to write this as you reflect back over the year. And I found this African proverb that I thought was very fitting for me, and fitting for a rosebud thorn activity, right? For the sake of the rose, we must water the thorns. So I'm like, okay, we'll water the thorn, which my thorn has been work, right? Thorn is just that thing that's frustrating, that thing you don't have control over, that thing that is just a challenge, one challenge after another, right? And that can be so frustrating. And we just know that that's there, and we're going to acknowledge it. Our bud is something exciting, something that's coming up, something that we're looking forward to. It's always good to have things to look forward to. I could have put this in there too. One of the blessings of not having this job at the end of July is we always go back to the East Coast to Ocean City, Maryland every year. This year, my brother-in-law and his two kids and sister-in-law and her two kids are going to join my husband and I there on the beach for the last week of July. So that's definitely a bud I'm looking forward to. And then I've came across this little snippet in Instagram that said, uncertainty can bring fear and doubt, or magic and endless possibilities. It's your choice. And I love that idea of choice and options, and really thinking about things are uncertain for me right now. So they could bring fear and doubt, or they could bring magic and endless possibilities. And so that's definitely a bud for me. And then my rose was, I finally finished my nephew and his wife, their wedding present. Okay, they got married 3 years ago, but I finished it. It's a lovely blanket. It looks very tiny in this picture, but it's very, very big. I knit this blanket for them, and so I sent it off with my sister, their mom, so that they can give that to them. And they're also expecting a baby in January. Fabulous news. So I'm like, ooh, it's a good thing I got the wedding blanket done. Now I get to go work on the baby blanket. So that's always fun. So, oh, thank you, Phyllis. Yes, it's a very nice blanket. I almost kind of wanted to keep it for myself. So I will let you tell us if you would like in the chat, your rose, your bud, your thorn, any of those. I'll play just a short little bit of music, and then we'll check back in. Okay, I know that was a short song, and as you're thinking about that rose, that bud, and that thorn, um, it's fine to kind of keep thinking about that. And Georgette, I saw you wanted me to type that. I'm assuming you mean the uncertainty piece. I will put that in the chat when we go on to the next part, so you can grab that as well. Also, remember you can do screenshots or take a little picture there. So thank you all for sharing. I know that there's definitely there's those thorns can sometimes be really big thorns, and they can be really sharp thorns, and they can tend to overshadow that bud and that rose. But it's always so nice to see that there usually is a rose, however small, and maybe a tiny little bud, something that we can look forward to. I see lots of folks looking forward to maybe time with family, time with friends, those kinds of things coming up, and different things to kind of think of. But yeah, and really, Chris, there's or CJ, there's not necessarily an order. I like to do the thorn first to get the icky part out of the way, but you could always start with your rose and then talk about your bud and then talk about your thorn, right? You can or you can talk about your bud first. The other thing I want to mention is sometimes one thing is all three of those. If you remember a couple years ago when I was doing a remodel of our bedroom, the remodel was literally the rose, the bud, and the thorn, right? And so that happens sometimes too. So thank you all so much for sharing in the chat kind of how things have been going. I see some folks have some trips coming up, some different things. Yeah, Monica, the bedroom remodel. I'm glad that's over. So anyway, thank you all so much for sharing there in the chat. And let's move into our weekly planner so we can do some work on that. So that's going to be in your July journal. We're going to be on page 26 and 27. And I wanted to show you this. This was what someone had, I think it was last week. So I think she did her vacation. She had her vacation was last week. So I haven't heard how that went. And I'm not sure if she's here tonight, but I thought this was great. She had vacation for the week. And so she took her week spread and she made it all about her week vacation. So she was going to Disneyland. So she put in fun stickers over the habits and activities. She put in some stickers in other places. She had the list of the places that the rides, the attractions that she wanted to see. Oh, Maggie, that's so awesome. She is here. It was fun. Yay. Did your planning help? I hope that it helped because you did such a nice job here with your planner. And she had her what happened today, where she was going to write down kind of what was happening. She had some things to do when she's bored in the airport. She had her back home reset that she was going to do. I love this. This was a great way to really take that week that, again, you're like, well, I'm not really doing the regular things, so I don't want to set it up regular, and just really kind of set it into that super fun vacation planning tracker. So I love that. And then, so if we go into page 26 for this week, I want to feel, I always talk about, and I'm going to go ahead and do all of page 26 and let you work on it as you want, and then play several songs so that you can kind of do it all at once. So our feeling really, to me, is kind of how I want to show up for the world. And you could also think of it, instead of this week I want to feel, you could just say this week I am. And I am connected. I am beautiful. I am secure. I am courageous. I am grounded. I am unstoppable. I love that. I want to feel mighty. I want to feel accomplished, in control, and peaceful, realigned. I want to feel self-love. I want to feel fun. I want to feel strong. I want to feel healthy, thinking about those different ways that we want to feel. And then when you go down to those major three goals, think about how your goals are going to support that way you want to feel this week. And summertime is sometimes a little intense, right? We're doing lots of different things. We've got kiddos doing things. We've got significant others doing things, family things. So sometimes maybe just setting one goal is what you want to do for the week, right? Really think about what makes sense for you. And then I liked this little quote that said, expectations are infinite, right? We can have infinite expectations for what we want and how things are going to do, but time is finite. You are always choose well. And if you've noticed, that's kind of a theme. It's been a theme for me lately, this idea of choice and really making wise choices and choosing wisely and choosing well. So different ways you can kind of set up those goals or think about those goals. Maybe you want to look at your July intentions and monthly habit tracker if you've set those up, to see what kinds of things you might want to set up for goals. You could set these through that lens of independence, right? I'm getting independence from my job that I think really was kind of crushing my soul. So what's that going to feel like? What are some goals that I have for this week? Maybe you want to do some no goals. So like no alcohol, no doom scrolling, no more than a certain minutes on social media. um, Maybe you want to look at last week or maybe other journals to see if you have some outstanding goals that you want to bring forward. Maybe you want to frame these goals around a single personal challenge. Maybe you have a fitness challenge or some cleaning, some self-care. Maybe you want to do some new recipes, some fun summer recipes. And here's some examples of people that have their feeling and then their goals and how you can see that they're kind of tied together. So I love the authentic, and then they have a body, mind, and spirit goal. Another one, energized, and the mind, body, work goal. They want to celebrate, and they were going to celebrate health, celebrate family, and celebrate vacationing. And again, I'll show you these, but then I'll scroll through them all while I play a little bit of music as you're working on it. They want to feel revived, again, mind, body, and heart goals. Want to feel motivated. And they actually broke it up into 4, which is fine. Usually I say to stick with 3, but these 4 are okay because they've got a reading, a writing, a move, like move your body, and then a work goal, set of goals. They want to feel focused, and they have a left brain, a right brain, and a no brain activity that they want to do under those different pieces. Then we have those to-dos. So what are those things that we need to do to accomplish our goals so that we can have our feel how we want to? So the Eisenhower matrix is really popular for a lot of folks. Maybe you want to make a big list of all the tasks that you want to accomplish this week or this month. I know one of our other facilitators, Jen O, will make a one whole big list on her back page in the journal of everything she wants to get done this month. And then she'll look at each week. She'll kind of do the Eisenhower matrix for each week and figure out if those are important and urgent things, she's going to do them. They're not important, but they're urgent. She's going to see if she can delegate those. If they're important, but they're not urgent, maybe I decide, do I actually do it this week or do I do it later? And if they're not important and they're not urgent, I either delete it or I drop it or I delay it. Something that I can kind of push out. So make that list and then categorize them using that matrix. Some people, I like the one has just cute little stickers, and then they have like a little thing like eat well with the bag of groceries there, try to rise early to ease into the day, have a good life, practicing gratitude. One person has a self, others, and a house to do. So they have this cute little like 3 self-care bingo activities. For others, they want to help their mom. Just a straight up list of some things that they want to do. Again, some to-dos that they just kind of divide them into 3 pieces, a morning and an evening, a work and a home. And then those habits and activities, or those habities that I called them when I was talking too fast, that I tend to do. Maybe for your habits and activities, you want to choose a self-love habit. This comes from our Silk and Sonder Instagram page. So maybe it's things like following your bedtime. I always feel like it's harder to go to bed early in the summer because it's still sunny outside. So kind of thinking about like, do I need to get room darkening curtains? You know, do you need to set that timer to go to bed? Maybe you want to make sure you're practicing gratitude, scheduling breaks, logging off from work, saying no. I saw a lot of people talking about this idea of being able to say no to things, which is definitely something that's important to do. Here's some examples of how some folks have done it. So that little part where it says goal, usually that's how many times you want to do that thing during the week. You don't have to use that if you want. You can see the one on the bottom. They didn't put a goal for how many times they wanted to do those things. You can also see some people kind of circled the days that they wanted this thing to happen. Some people, again, just kind of have a color in there for the goal. You don't have to fill in every single line. You can also X out, look, you can see the one up in the top in the middle. They crossed out the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because maybe they're like, I don't want to track these on the weekend. These things don't actually need to happen on the weekend, or what that looks like. Oop, and here's some examples of different things that you could potentially put in there as you're thinking of what you want to do. I see lots of people have some nail appointments. I feel like I need to get a pedicure this week, especially since Monday will be my last day where I actually have to go into work. So I'll have a little bit of time. Maybe I'll go get a little pedicure, manicure, trying to do some cleaning. I had to bring everything home from my office of 16 years. So you can imagine my little pack rat self had a lot of stuff that I had to bring home, and now I have to do something with it. So that will be definitely one of my habits and activities for the week. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let you work on page 26. I see folks kind of sharing, kind of what they're going to do for each one of these sections. And remember, if one of these sections doesn't fit your life this week, you're like, weekly to-dos, like that's not a thing, or my major goals, like I don't use it for something else, right? Or just put stickers in there, right? Let your stickers have a chance to fulfill their sticker destiny, and just do what works for you as you go through. So I'm going to cycle through all these slides. Feel free to keep sharing in the chat, kind of like what you're going to do with these spaces. And then we'll check back in here in just a few moments. All right. Thank you for sharing in the chat how you're going to use these different sections. And again, and some folks I saw saying, I think I can only handle 2 goals for this week, right? That's absolutely fine, right? You can honestly just have one. Sometimes what's going on, just being able to focus on one goal for the week is very, very important. And again, if maybe the idea of setting goals or something like that is just stressing you out, cover that section in stickers, put the little quote in there, right? That's where you can kind of write in some of the different fun quotes that we've had, some of the different, like a mantra or some of the different affirmations, all of those pieces that you can have, right? So, Janie, are you looking for this one? Because the next slide was moving us into the next page. So hopefully everybody got kind of what they needed, some of the different ideas with these pieces. And again, sometimes those habits and activities can be really helpful for that week, but you don't necessarily want to move them from week to week. You're like, this is just very specific for what this week looks like. So let us go flip over to what Katie calls the B side, right? Sometimes the B side is something that we listen to. Sometimes the B side we don't listen to. Sometimes we need some of these sections. Sometimes we like to repurpose. I know a lot of people like to repurpose this meal plan one over here on page 27. So I've got a whole list of different ways that people have repurposed this, thinking about how they're going to rest, how they're taking care of themselves, maybe writing down their daily affirmations from the Silk and Sonder from our Sonder. Maybe it's, again, that one thing you want to do, like I absolutely need to do this, right? And the one over on the far right, it looks like it's some cleaning things. So they're going to clear off the table. They're going to steam clean the middle room floors. They're going to clear and organize one cabinet in the kitchen. The next day, they're going to do another one. They're going to vacuum the rugs. They're going to wash the kitchen, the walls and the floors. So really kind of breaking it down into those bite-sized little pieces so that we can get it done. Maybe we want to use it to track some exercise or some gratitude. Maybe again, it's a self-planner. Maybe it's the favorite thing that happened each day. Any of those kinds of things, maybe some sort of an area that you want to think about trying to practice some acceptance in. Any of those kinds of things. Here's some other ones. Some people, they have their affirmations and then they're kind of color coding their water droplets as they're trying to get their water in. That's something I will definitely have to work on if I'm not in the office, because I'm very bad about drinking water when I'm home. Just for some reason, the timing doesn't always go well. Again, our chores list, our appointments, and our socials. If you've signed up for some of the socials and coming in, yeah, Nathania, when I track the water, I can do great. And then I think I don't need to track it. I'm doing great. And then I don't do great. So it's like, maybe the reason I was doing great was because I was tracking it. So getting back to that is sometimes very helpful. Making it a wardrobe tracker or a packing list. That so helps me when I'm going to travel, to make a packing list for what I want to wear each day. It really helps when I don't, so I don't overpack, right? So I'm like, this is what I'm going to wear each day. And that's the only stuff I'm packing, instead of every possible thing. I might want to wear this shirt. I might want to wear, it's like, nope, I've already got it planned out. And then our mind body health plan. I really like this little dog, has some great ideas for his plan for the week. Today he's going to be amazing. Tomorrow he'll be fabulous. On Wednesday he'll be extraordinary. Thursday will be wonderful. Friday I'll be magnificent. Saturday I'll be incredible. And Sunday I'm going to be brilliant. I think that's definitely a fun kind of a fun idea. What if you were amazing, fabulous, extraordinary, wonderful, magnificent, incredible, and brilliant for those pieces each week? So lots of people like to repurpose this one. Use it for your Wordle, tracking that. How did I nourish my mind and my body and my soul? What I feel and what I need. I like there's the one in the bottom where they said no on Monday. They worked on a puzzle and had lunch with a friend. So that's how did I care for myself? So they're really kind of tracking that in that piece. They've got their mind, body, health plan. They've got a face mask and reading a book and their hair routine. Lots of different ideas for what goes in each one of those. A cleaning list, right? Some ideas about unplugging early, going to bed by 10, getting in some exercise. I like the one on the bottom left. They have 4 different ideas: strength, yoga, walk, and other. And then they're drawing a little line. So Monday they went for a walk. Tuesday they did yoga. Friday and Saturday they did yoga. Sunday they went for a walk, right? So kind of giving yourself some options for the week. Use a little alliteration here. You've got Meatless Monday, TV Free Tuesday, Walking Wednesday, Thoughtful Thursday, Family Fun Friday, Sabbath Saturday, Self-Care Sunday. Lots of fun ideas for ways that you can kind of set those up. Yeah, people come up with some great ideas. And here's the other thing. If you had a great idea and you did it last week and it worked really well, do it again. You don't have to come up with brand new stuff for every week, right? And then shopping list. I liked this one. They made, instead of a shopping list, it literally is the food they have in the house, right? Have you ever done that? Where you're like, we have all this food in the house, but then you go grocery shopping and you buy other stuff. So they're like, here's all the stuff that we have, some veggies, some tofu, some lentils, right? This is what we have in the house. And so then when you're thinking of making dinner, you're like, oh, this is what I have in the fridge, or oh, this is what I have in the freezer or the pantry, right? So I love the idea of like, let's take a little inventory before we decide we're going to go through the drive-through or something like that. So that's kind of a fun way to use this little space. Other ways that people love to throw in a bingo, right? We all love a good bingo. So birthday week bingo, a self-care bingo, mind, body, heart bingo. Sometimes just a reminder to stay out of the dollar store, no unnecessary spending. Again, a packing list is something great to kind of pop in that little space. Some doodles, a little quote, a couple little quotes. We've got the social check-in where they're going to text or call or meet face-to-face with these people on these days. So they've got a little track of that. I like the thing, I am worthy of what I desire. Bills that maybe they have coming due to kind of keep an idea of what's going on there. And then people ask, like, what do I do with that little I am loving space? So that's just something maybe that made you smile or something you're going to kind of think of this week to carry forward. One person loves their daily rituals, audiobooks, the smell of their new laundry detergent. I'm loving myself by blank. Kitten cuddles in bed. So the little one up in the top, that's Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. So my little niece, who has some special needs. She's 15, but she was out here visiting with my sister this last week, and we went to go see the How to Train Your Dragon. And so then she wanted to do some art, and she knows I always have art supplies. And so she started trying to draw Toothless, and she was like, ugh, it looks stupid. I hate it. And she just wanted to stop. And I said, honey, have you ever drawn Toothless? And she said, no. And I said, why do you think it would be perfect? I tell you what, let's YouTube how to draw Toothless. It's going to give you some tips and then you can do it. So she was like, okay. I said, let's not give up. She's like, okay, I won't give up. So this is what she came up with. And I was like, I love him. He's beautiful. And so she wrote, you can't see it in the picture, but she signed her name, Jenna. And then she wrote down in the bottom, not for sale. So this is not for sale, just in case you were wondering if you wanted to buy a Toothless picture. I can't even buy it, but I took a picture of it so I could have it. And I just loved that she really, at first she just wanted to toss it. And then I was like, let's keep going. This is new. So yeah, it's a super cute movie. It is a little long though. I feel like it's longer than the cartoon version was, but anyway, very cute. So, I will tell her you all said that's a great Toothless. Work on this page. Let us know what you're going to do with some of these little boxes here, and I'll scroll back through and then we'll check in and wrap things up. All right. Well, I love everyone sharing in the chat kind of the different things that they're doing. Lots of folks talking about using some of the meal kit services to help them with those uninspired dinners. Like, did you ever think when we became adults that the question, what's for dinner, would be such an ever pressing, irritating, frustrating questions like, again, I have to figure out what's going to be for dinner. So those meal kits can definitely be super helpful. And like Bailey was mentioning, a lot of times if you have different credit cards, I know on my Chase credit card, you can go in and find different deals that you can add. So you get like 15% back or 20% back or those kinds of things. So that definitely is helpful. And yeah, we use the Misfit markets to get some of the fruits and vegetables, so that way we know that we're going to get it. And again, I love the person on the shopping list that made the this is what I have in the fridge, this is what I already have kind of thing to help remind you so that food doesn't go bad. So thank you all so much for joining us. We love when you share your weekly planners with us in Sonder Club. You see, that's where we get all of our examples from. So it's so nice. You never know who you're going to inspire with what you have done with a certain section or what you do with those pages. So thank you all for sharing. And then also did want to remind, if you didn't get a chance to copy down the code or grab the link, Bailey can pop that in there for you again. Like I said, they're doing this really cool risk-free 14-day free trial, no credit card needed. I'm guessing it'll be through the end of tonight. It might go into tomorrow, but I'm not 100% sure. So take advantage of that while you can. And then that's the nice thing again, too, right? So you don't have to worry about canceling it. Well, it's not going to automatically charge you with those things, but it's fun. And I see lots of folks who are talking about how much fun they were having with taking all the different quizzes and stuff in the beginning. So thank you all so very much for coming, for spending some time, for sharing your ideas, your thoughts, for your very thoughtful interactions with each other. Again, this is the most supportive group. I have been so blessed to be able to come and hang out with you all for the last several years. And so I will see you tomorrow night if you come to one of our monthly setups. And then tomorrow morning, Katie is going to be leading that one. So hopefully we will see you there. Take care, everyone, and we hope to see you again very soon.
You're beautiful, and that's for sure. You'll never, ever fade. You're lovely, but it's not for sure. I won't ever change. And though my love is great, and though my love is true, to tears, even after all these years, and it pains me so much to tell that you don't know me.